All right, here we go. My name's Jeff K, and you're listening to episode 276 of the world-famous West Virginia Surf Report podcast.
Hello, world.
And we're back broadcasting once again from deep underneath a nondescript home in suburban Pennsylvania. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thanks for listening. Thanks for downloading, streaming, ever how you do it. Whatever method you choose, it makes no never mind to me. I'm just happy you're listening. You know what I'm saying? It's been a while. It's been a week. Zip went on vacation. He went to some beach down there in, I think it was Alabama. I think that's where it was. I think he went to a beach in Alabama. That's how you pronounce that, right? And he said, I prefer not to take my laptop. I said, all right, I perfectly understand. I mean, I don't expect you to be doing editing while you're on a vacation, you know. So he said, well, you can do 2 in advance, and you can, like have them stacked, And I said, no, I think I'm just going to take the week off. I think I'm going to take the same week off you take. I need a reset, right? So that's what we did. My friend Eugene from the Wheeler's Dog podcast offered to edit those 2 episodes while Zip was gone. But I just decided to just have the bunker go dark for a week. So I appreciate Eugene. Appreciate that, Eugene. I do. And I'm glad to be back. And I hope I haven't talked to Zip, but I hope he had a great time and all that. So we're back. We're back in the saddle here. I have a few things jotted down here. I wanted to talk about first. Before we get to all that, though, I have a couple of random notes. Couple days this week, I've noticed along Interstate 81, there's a giant, just on the side of the road, a giant Christmas wreath laying there. It was there yesterday. It's probably still there. And it has like silver bells on it. It's like a big giant wreath just on the side of the road with bells on it. It's got tinsel and whatnot, Like, this is almost July. We're almost in July. Where in the hell did this? Where's this stuff come from? Is someone moving or something? Is that what happens? And they have all their shit in the back of a truck, and the stuff's just loose in the back of a truck. And a Christmas wreath comes sailing off in June, late June, still laying up there. I mean, not that long ago, there was a house here in our neighborhood, just right down the street from us, and this is probably in May, I would say, in May, definitely May. It wasn't April, but in May, somebody had their Christmas tree laying out, like a real Christmas tree, not, it had tinsel all over it, just like that wreath did, just laying out on the side of the street in May. What the hell's that? I used to have, when I lived in Atlanta, when I lived in that apartment by myself, moved down there with my girlfriend at the time, and then we broke up, and I was in that apartment by myself for I don't know how long, a year, 2 years, who knows? Time is just it comes and goes, and I have no idea. So I got work when somebody says, "How long's so and so been here?" It's like, I don't know, somewhere between 6 months and 5 years. I mean, I'm 75% sure it falls within that range. I have no idea. But anyway, I was living in there by myself for a while, and I had a Christmas tree. I don't know. I can't believe that I bought a Christmas tree, like a real Christmas tree. I can't believe I did that. I must have got whipped up into some kind of Christmas spirit. Where did I get? Where did I have? Did I go out and buy like decorations for this thing? I guess. Now that I think back on it, it seems insane. I mean, I can't imagine me spending money at that point in my life on a Christmas tree and the bulbs and all that shit, the lights. I can't. But anyway, I guess I did. And I was lazy. I was a shambles in those days. This is between Sharon and Toney in that era. This is the era when I was like, I've talked about it, the dark period of my life, But anyway, so I had this tree, and that thing sat up. I bet it was May, June, maybe July. I don't know. That thing was so dry. All it would take was like somebody just saying the word fire, and it would go probably just burst into flames. I mean, if you walked past that thing, you wouldn't even have to brush up against it. Just the wind off your from your passing, you just hear all these needles just going like raining down. And I finally took that thing downstairs and threw it out in the trash. That thing had no needles on it. It was just like sticks, it's like brittle and dry. But, we live in a neighborhood with adults, where adult people live, where families and whatnot. And they just put their tree out in May, I think. I think it was May. It was real late. That's insane. Where's this wreath? This along the interstate. Where the hell? Anyway, I find that to be bizarre. The stuff you see along the interstate. Also, the other day I got in the mail the 1960 World Series Game 7 on DVD. That thing, that's right, DVD. What am I, like a hick? Or maybe like Snoop Dogg? I don't know. I got this DVD, and it was Game 7 of the 1960 World Series, one of the most famous games, iconic. It's when it was the Pittsburgh Pirates versus the New York Yankees, the one where Bill Mazeroski crushes a walk-off home run. It's like one of the most dramatic moments in baseball history. And that thing, it was long believed to be lost. The TV broadcast of that game. I mean, it was considered. I mean, the radio broadcast existed, but there was very little. I mean, there was no complete game that existed in this world. Or at least that's what everybody believed, right? Then fast forward to just a few years ago, not that long ago, somebody was going through Bing Crosby. That's right, Bing Crosby's personal items, stuff that he had stored away, I guess. And in there was film. He had somebody film that game, that seventh game of the 1960 World Series. Where the way they did it is they just filmed the TV screen. Right? That's the way they used to do that crap back in those days. And they called it kinescope or something, where they would just literally just have a camera facing a TV screen, and they would film the thing because he was like unavailable. He was not going to be able to watch the game. He was a big baseball fan, I guess. I think he might have actually been involved in the ownership group of the Pirates, and he had somebody film that for him because he was not going to be able to watch it live. So then. And then it's just forgotten. It's just mixed in with all his effects. All this stuff that he had. Bing Crosby, we're talking about. Bing Crosby. He's the connection to all this. I find this to be bizarre. And so then it was discovered just a few years ago. It's like almost like the Holy Grail. Not the Holy Grail, but one of the missing. Just a complete baseball treasure, baseball history. So I bought that thing. Major League Baseball. They turned it over to Major League Baseball, or Major League Baseball said, "Hey," I don't remember how that happened, but somehow Major League Baseball took ownership of that shit straight away, and it was they released it as a DVD. And the only thing they did, I believe, I haven't watched it yet, but I've read reviews, is they took all the commercials out of it. Why? Why would you do that? That adds to it, man. That's fun. I like all the commercials. Why would you edit out all the commercials? It should be unedited from beginning to end. But it's the whole game, and it's I bought that thing off of Amazon, and I finally got that the other day. Excited. I'll be watching that in the winter. I'll watch that in the winter when there's no baseball. I'll fire that baby up. It's got, you can listen to the TV broadcast, the original TV broadcast, or you can choose another option where you can watch the game and listen to the radio broadcast. So there's two different sets of announcers on there. That's cool. I love that kind of stuff. And before we get into the main topics, I got a couple of other things. So yesterday I went to McDonald's when I was at work. There's this shabby McDonald's out there. I mean, they went in and did some refreshing of the place. They did some aesthetics. I mean, they freshened it up. But that place is a shit house. I mean, it has the reputation of being, at least the people in that area around, people I work with and stuff, as perhaps the worst McDonald's in the world. I don't want to get into hyperbole here. I don't. But that's the reputation. At my place of work is that place. That is the worst McDonald's in the world. The worst run, poorly managed. The employees are surly, or uninterested, or disengaged. The food, I guess, is fine. I don't know. I never had any problem with the food itself. It's just McDonald's, But it sucks. It's terrible. You go through that drive-through, it's like a disaster. It takes forever to get through there. You go inside, and it's awful, And it's like why in the hell? Who runs this place? How is this allowed? Again and again. Every time I go there, which I don't go over there very often because it sucks, And every time I go there, it makes me mad. So, but the other day, I was like, I got to do something fast. I got to get in. So I decided to go there, and I decided to go inside, which I have not done in years. I always go through the drive-through if I go there at all. If I go there at all, I go through the drive-through, and then I go park somewhere and eat it. But this time I decided I'd go inside and eat in there in the dining room. All right, so I go up and there's some woman at the cash. There's one cashier, and there's some woman in there. Oh my God, going on and on and on like she's never been to a McDonald's before. You know how it goes. Like what comes on that? It's a frickin' Big Mac, sister. I mean, what do you mean? Do you not know what comes on a Big Mac? How? Do you not live in this world? Like, what the hell? So she's like negotiating and like she acts like she's at the Ritz-Carlton or something. Oh my God, just order your stupid slop and step aside. Order your garbage, order a bag of garbage and take 2 steps to the left. All right? That's the way it works. God. Now they have these kiosks in there. Thing says, for faster service, go to one of our kiosks. That's what the sign says. Because you're not going to get fast service here. No way. So I went over to one of those things, and I ordered what I wanted. And they have this new burger called the Daily Double, which is actually pretty good. It's basically a double cheeseburger, but it has lettuce, tomato, onions, and mayo. That's what it has. Not a big fan of the mayo, but I roll with it sometimes. I mean, I'm not a fanatic. I mean, if I have anyway, I ordered it. I didn't have them hold the mayo or anything. I just ordered 2 Daily Doubles. They cost $3 each. They're kind of small, but they're double burgers. They're good. And a medium fry and a medium Dr. Pepper. That's what I ordered from the kiosk. Thing says choose a number. It says go over to the counter and those things that you put on the table, where they can bring it out to you. So it was number 30. I went over there and grabbed one. It said number 30. I put that in. Thing says take it to your table. I paid and everything. Thing says take it to your table and an associate will bring you your food momentarily, right? So I went over there and I sat down and and I was waiting and waiting. It sounded like chaos in there. And then finally I heard somebody going, a 2 Daily Double? 2 Daily Double? A 2 Daily Double? It just kept getting more and more hysterical. And it was shrieking to the point where it was like, 2 Daily Double? Shrieking. I was like, is this me? I mean, I thought I have this little license plate thing, this little TP that I put on my I thought that indicated that they were going to bring it out. I don't know. So I went up there, and she's like, hands me the sack. She doesn't say a word to me. She's surly, and she's angry. She's full of rage, And I'm like, no, so there's no soda. She just gave me no cup. Of course, you have to get your own. It's a wonder you don't go back there and cook your own burgers. I mean, but she walked away. I was like, hey. I'm like, So she just turned around. She had a shitty look on her face, like she wanted to kill somebody. Starting with me, number one on her list was me, but it was a long list. You know what I mean? So I'm standing there, like I paid for a drink and I want it. So there's a whole bunch of people back there. All of them look like they're, I don't know, 15 years of age, and none of them are doing jack shit. Well, there's like 2 or 3 working and like, I don't know, 12 not doing jack. And none of them would come over to where I was at. Nobody would make eye contact. I mean, they don't want to do anything. They don't want to engage with anybody. The place is poorly run. And finally, that woman who was yelling, "Daily double!" She goes, "What do you need?" I said, "I paid for a drink, and I didn't get a cup." So she just hands me one. She's like storms away. Oh my God! So then I went over there and sat down, and I had the thing, and the food was fine. There's nothing. I've never had any issue with the food. It's just that place sucks. It's unbelievable. I don't want to. Whatever. I don't want to be just on here bitching about everything. But God, unbelievable. That place sucks. It's the worst McDonald's in America, possibly the world. All right. Toney went to see her sister, her insane sister. And a couple weeks ago, went down there and stayed with her for a week or so. And I used to write back when the Surf Report website was kicking and it was running on all cylinders. I used to write about her and all that stuff, and it was a fan favorite. Everybody loved. I call her Nancy. That's not really her name, but whenever there was a Nancy story, everybody got excited. So she, I could tell you some stuff. I could tell you some stuff that Toney told me from this trip. But the thing about Nancy is, through the years, it feels like the whole world has gone Nancy. If you bring up a Nancy story now, it doesn't even seem that outrageous anymore. It's like, yeah, well, what you have a problem with that? Yeah. I mean, what's wrong with that? Everything's like I feel like we're all Nancy now. We're all Nancy now. All right, so here's some stories. These would have gone over great in the old days. I feel like they'll be like, so what does that matter? I mean, she just cares about things, Okay, so here's some things that I would have written about in the old days on the Surf Report website. So the whole family, well, I guess there was only 2 of them, her and Nostrils, were, there when Toney was down there. And that's her husband, Nostradamus. He when they would leave the room, how if you go into the bathroom, you flip the light on, you do whatever you do in there, and then when you're leaving, you flip the light off. Well, they do that with every room. Like if one of them's in the living room, like, if they're in the living room and they have to go into the kitchen for a second to grab, I don't know, wheatgrass or whatever, some kind of soy milk or whatever, get a tumbler of soy. They turn all the lights off in the living room to go into the kitchen, turn the light on there, get a beverage of something, either like some kind of like wheatgrass or straight liquor. It seems like those are the 2. So, and then they when they leave the kitchen, they turn the light off in the kitchen and then go back in the living room and turn the lights back on there. You know what I mean? So if they leave the whatever room they're in just for 30 seconds, they turn the lights off. This is so all right. So that would have been, that people would have been, that's hilarious. Back in the day, now it's like, so, The whole world shifted to Nancy. Nancy is just normal now. And another thing, they went to Kohl's. Because she's always complaining there's no, I don't know where to buy clothing. She buys it from used, I don't know. She goes to these used clothing stores all the time. Toney says, why don't you go to Kohl's? She says, there's all kinds of deals. If you play your cards right, you can get great deals on brand new clothes. So they went there. She dragged old Nancy over to Kohl's, and she said that she was almost having a panic attack in there because Nancy, she was having a panic attack in Kohl's because the selection was so large, it was an overload on her. She was having a hard time handling it. She was worried and concerned and obsessed with where do these clothes come from and who makes them, what kind of a sweatshop situation. So Tony's like, why don't you just can't you just go somewhere and buy a shirt or something, buy some shirts or something? Why do you have to analyze everything? All right, there you go. You go into Kohl's, you can't even focus on what you're trying to do. You can't buy a pair of pants. You're worrying about who made this pair of pants. Where did it come from? What's its origin story? Back in the day, that would have been, everybody would have been, whoo, 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 I love these Nancy stories. Now it's like, so? She cares. She has empathy, So I don't know. The whole Nancy thing, I don't even write about her anymore. So I have a couple other things. Oh, she's complaining about how she always wants to sit outside. Whatever they have, somebody just come in the door. Sounds like somebody just came through the front door. Anyway, she wants to sit outside. Instead it was 100 degrees, 100% humidity. They're always eating every one of their meals out on some kind of outdoor patio. And there's sweat just dripping straight off the tip of your nose right into your dinner, She was bitching about that. But anyway, so the Nancy stories, I moved away from them because it feels like the whole world is Nancy. We're all Nancy now, right? So I don't tell those stories anymore. Gave you a couple of little glimpses into that. And finally, there's this podcast that I love. It's one of my favorites, although I haven't listened to every episode. And I think I'm going to go back and start from episode 1 and just listen to every episode. It's called Reply All. You familiar with this? The thing ended. I listened to the final episode last night, and they pulled the plug on it. I don't know why. It was never explained, but there were these two guys, and they had a podcast called TLDR, which on the internet stands for Too Long Didn't Read, right? And it was a podcast these two guys did about technology. Well, I think that one was about the internet specifically. And it was really good. These guys are great storytellers. It's not just two nerds sitting around talking about the new iPhone. It's like a investigative thing where it's like a documentary almost. They have these really interesting stories that they investigate, and it's kick ass. So then somehow I don't know the whole backstory on it. They moved over to this place called Gimlet Media, which is a podcast network, and started a new podcast called Reply All. And it was similar. It was about technology, so kind of a bigger scope, but similar, very similar. And the thing was great. It sounds like when I explain it, you have it in your head. It's a bunch of IT guys sitting around talking. It's not that. It's like a documentary. Every episode is like a documentary almost. Very good, well done, awesome. And then somewhere in I think 2020, I think that's where it was. One of the co-hosts got, I don't know if he got fired or if he left on his own under pressure. I'm not clear on it, but there was some controversy where he was like a bully. He was accused of being a bully, and he was creating a toxic work environment. So he got shit canned out of there, you know. So it was these two guys, and one of them was gone, left in disgrace, you know. And then the other guy continued on, and they brought in somebody else to be the co-host. It's this British guy. He was all right, but I don't know, felt like some of the magic was gone at that point. And I don't know what's going on, but it feels like those guys don't like each other. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if that's true or not, but because it feels like they were never together, or they were hardly ever together. It was just like, it feels like one of them would record their part and the other would record their part separately, you know. But the thing was never the same, in my opinion. That thing was fantastic. That show was great at its height. In fact, when I was listening to that last night, the last episode wasn't all that great, to tell you the truth. They just went out and just did a normal episode, and it wasn't even that good, you know. So I don't know. It was kind of like it just went out with a whimper, I guess. But when I was thinking about like all the podcasts I've listened to in my life, I don't know, some of the best episodes I've ever heard of any podcasts in my life, and I'm not a complete expert, but I've listened to a lot. A lot of them are from that show. A lot of them were from that Reply All show. There were some that blew my mind. One of them was this guy had this song in his head. He had this song. He remembered this song. He said it was on the radio. It was on the radio back in, I don't know, the 80s, I think. And he can find he says nobody remembers it. Nobody he knows remembers it. He tries to explain it to people. This is one of the episodes. And he tries to explain it to people. Nobody knows what he's talking about. He can find no reference on the internet to this song. He remembers, like, details. He said it was on the radio all the time. It was a hit. And he can find nobody knows about it. He can find nobody that even remembers it. So these guys from this Reply All, they try to get to the bottom of this shit. It's fascinating. It's like unbelievable. It's like one of the best. I mean, and they do solve the mystery at the end. It's, oh my God, the whole episode is like a master class in podcasting. It's like the best. And then there was another one also blew my mind. It was a two-parter where this one of these telephone scammers calls one of the two guys. And he's clearly from India, you know, or something similar. He sounds Indian, and this guy, they decide they're going to figure out what is this? What is this all about? You know, it's a two-part episode where they do a deep investigation in that they want to find this particular guy, and they want to get his story. They want to find out what the hell's going on. You know, this guy calls. He's trying to scam him out of money. You know. So they do this big investigation. It's unbelievable. It's like super. What's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. Edge of your seat type stuff, because you don't know what's going to happen. It's unbelievable. It's a great story. It's a two-part. I don't want to give too much away, but they end up going to India. They fly to India, and they actually talk to the guy. They confront the guy, and the thing's suspenseful. I mean, these are not nice people. These guys are criminals, basically, like they're like mobsters. You know, you don't know what's going to happen. There's tension. It's fantastic. So this guy gets a phone call at the beginning from some scammer in India, and it's like a 2-hour thing where they, you know, across 2 episodes, where they end up in India confronting the guy, you know, face to face. Oh my God. And there's like all kinds of lying going on. There's people impersonating people. There's twists and turns. It's unbelievable. It's like one of the best things I've ever heard. It's great. And then there's this other one where this, you know, there's for some reason, these government, like flyers or whatever, like or TV commercials, you know, these government things. Call if you want more information, call, and they give you a telephone number, and it ends up being a sex line. This happens over and over and over again, I guess. And and they try to figure out why? How is this happening? How could a U.S. government informational telephone number, and it's not always the same number, it's always a different number, end up calling this the same sex line? Stuff like this. So it's loosely, and they investigate this stuff and they get to the bottom of it. There's a whole bunch of episodes that are just mind-blowing. It's so well done. It is awesome. It's one of my favorite podcasts of all time. It finally came to an end. I think it kind of ended when that guy left, the original. But the original guy has another podcast I just learned about called Crypto Island, I think. It's about the world of, cryptocurrency. And it's what I read, I haven't heard any of them, is it's similar. It's like he does investigations and stuff. I'm definitely going to check that out. But anyway, I was just thinking about that because that was a great podcast. It's ended, and I think I'm going to start at episode 1 and listen to all of them. Because there's not going to be any more of them. So anyway, I don't know if you're aware of that or familiar with that podcast, Reply All. I've loved it. That's one of my favorites. And when I was thinking about the greatest podcast episodes I've ever heard, the ones I just told you about, and I have others written down, but I don't want to go on and on. But there's also This American Life. You familiar with this? There is 2 episodes of that I always think about. One of them was about this. It was about this tornado that hit this town in, I don't know if it was Kansas or Iowa, one of those, in Tornado Alley out there. And it's prom night, right? And it's in this small town, and everybody's, they've been through this 1,000 times. Tornado warnings, tornado watches. That's just a way of life. They just don't even, they don't even think about it. It's no big deal. So this episode is about this group of kids, these high school kids, going to their prom, and there's a tornado warning or tornado watch that night. Everybody just disregards it, right? But there's all this. This is in the 90s, I think. But they have like camcorders and stuff. So there's a lot of stuff being recorded. So there's a lot of audio from this, from all these people going to the prom. And so they get sent. I guess they get sent down in the basement to wherever they're at, and they're all yucking it up and laughing and making fun of the whole thing because they're jaded, been through this a million times. It's like when I was out in California one time at a meeting, and we're at a meeting in a hotel, in this hotel meeting room, and the place starts shaking. There's a chandelier hanging over the big table in the middle of the room, and it's like clanking. The whole place is shaking. There's like an earthquake, right? So everybody that's from out of town, including me, we're all like, "What the?" We're about ready to, our bowels are about ready to release, and we're like, "Oh my God." And then we all go out, and everybody's in the middle, like in the hallway where there's no glass and all this stuff. And then I look back at all the guys from California are over there like eating strawberries off the snack table and all this stuff. They're like, do-de-do, like they don't have a care in the world. But anyway, so these kids, this whole story about this night, and they go down, they're down in the basement, because the tornado thing is real, and they're yucking it up, laughing. They're a bunch of kids, smart asses, all kinds of shit going on. The whole town gets wiped out. Like some of their parents get killed, siblings, and it's gut wrenching. Man, that is like unbelievable. That is a crazy episode. There's another episode about coincidences on This American Life. I need to go back and listen to that again. But that thing blows my mind. It's like this guy was at a beach, when he was a little kid. He's like a little kid. He's at a beach, hundreds of miles away from where he grew up. And there's pictures from that day, and in the background is, I don't know, his wife or something, like his future wife, who's from a completely different part of the country. And they're like little kids. This kind of stuff. It's all the whole episode's about coincidences, like that kind of thing. That thing's mind blowing too. It's great. And another one, the last one I'll mention, when I think about great episodes of podcasts, I've probably listened to 500, 700 episodes of Mark Maron's podcast. I used to listen to every episode for years and years. It didn't matter who the guest was. He interviews somebody. Comes out every Monday, every Thursday. He interviews somebody, and that's the episode. And now I listen to it if I'm interested in the person he interviews. Back in the day, I used to listen to every episode, regardless of who was on there. So I literally have listened to, I would guess, 700 episodes of this thing. And the one that always sticks out in my mind, there's many, of course, is Huey Lewis. I mean, his story was crazy. And when he was interviewing Huey Lewis, and it's like, well, I think about it all the time. I think about that episode all the time. His dad, I don't want to go into the detail. His dad was a doctor, I think. It's been many years since I heard it, but I think about this episode all the time. His dad told him, I will send you to college. This is after he graduated high school. Anywhere you want to go, anywhere you can get into, I will pay it, and you don't have to worry about that. However, before you go to college, I want you to live in Europe. I want you to go over there with no money in your pocket, or very little, like $50 or something. And I want you to live over there for 1 year. And I want you to have to make do. I want you to make do, and you have to make your own money, and you have to figure things out. And I want you to live over there, and then when you come back, whatever you want to do, I'll foot the bill, right? Have you ever heard of such a thing? That's crazy. So he went over there. He didn't know what he wanted to do. He was just some dumbass rich kid, He went over there, and during that year, he figured out he wanted to be a musician. That's where he decided. And he was over there, like he got involved in that stiff record scene. He was involved in that. He traveled all over Europe and the Far East and all this stuff. And he had many adventures, as you might imagine. And he figured out that he wanted to have a life as a musician. I think he did. I think he accomplished that, But that thing was crazy. That whole story was amazing to me. I can't imagine doing something like that. I can't imagine asking that of your kid. And I can't imagine my parents. If I went over there, I'd probably be, I don't know, be death by misadventure, probably. I don't know. I don't know what happened, but I don't know. He figured a lot of things out, and he grew up real fast, So anyway, that's what. Those are the podcasts, the memorable podcasts. I've listened to millions. I used to have, back when I was in my previous job where I work now, in my previous position before I got promoted, I had an opportunity to listen to podcasts all throughout the entire shift, so 10 hours a day. So I always had a earbuds in, and I had an iPod back in those days, and I would just listen to podcast after podcast I've listened to thousands and thousands of podcasts, and those are the ones right off the top of my head that jumped to my mind. And Reply All was one of the best. And it's not on anymore. So I'm going to go back and start listening to those from the beginning. But anyway, we're at the end of this thing. Thank you guys for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you want 2 of these, I'm going to do one later in the week. And if you want to hear it, it's easy to do. Head on over to patreon.com/Jeff K. That's Patreon, Patreon.com/Jeff K. Sign up for a $4 or more monthly donation, and you'll get an extra episode every single week. Not every once in a while, not every month. That's for suckers. Every week. So if you want to do that, if you want to double down on the Surf Report, do it. Surf Report Pod. No, wait a minute. What am I doing? Patreon.com/Jeff K. Surf Report Pod is the website where you can get expanded show notes, photographs, links to other supporting materials, etc., etc. It's a value-added service for fans of the podcast. Check that out, surfreportpod.com. And let's see what else. If you want to call in and be a part of a show, That's easy. We got the whole infrastructure set up for you. That's right, infrastructure set up for you. That's it. The telephone number, just call in round the clock. Leave a message. It's voicemail. The number, 570-290-8151. Again, 570-290-8151. If you didn't get that, it's in the show notes over at surfreportpod.com. I'm talking in circles now. I'm stuck in some kind of loop. All right. But anyway, thank you guys for listening. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I will see you soon over on the Patreon side. Until then, you guys have yourselves a fine, fine day. I'll see you. Bye. DVD